You want a dish that's fast and easy enough for a weeknight, but fancy enough for a date night? Well, this classic chicken marsala may just be the ticket. It's a super simple and delicious recipe that everyone's gonna love, so let's get started. Let's take a look at the ingredients, starting with some nice fresh, boneless, skinless chicken breast. I've got some button mushrooms, and if you've got wild mushrooms, now's the time to use them. You make this dish with some morels and mamma mia, that is fantastic. But it's not quite that time of year yet. I've got a nice big clove of garlic. You can use a couple of small ones if that's all you got. Some fresh herb. I'm going to use a little fresh rosemary today because that's what I have. Fresh thyme is really good, as well as oregano. Got a nice shallot here. Of course, the Marsala wine, some chicken stock, and some flour for dredging. And the first thing I'm going to do is to cut this chicken into some nice cutlets and pound them out to get them nice and tender. Well, let's make our cutlets. So I'm going to take my breast. I've removed the tenderloin from the bottom. And now I'm just going to try my best to cut this all the way through and keep it about the same width, both sides. Usually not very successful, but it's okay. Oh, not too shabby. That one's a little thicker, but we'll fix that with the old hammer. So I don't want to really smack the heck out of these. They don't owe us money or anything. I just want to kind of gently smack them down until the tail end and this front end are about the same thickness. And just barely break it up a little so it's more tender. There we go. Let's take a look. Yeah, that is probably just under a ½ inch, but what's most important is that it's that same thickness all the way through. That way this is going to cook really evenly for us. Now that my chicken's ready, I want to get all the other ingredients ready because once I start cooking this dish, it comes together really fast and there won't be time to prep anything. So I'm going to start by just slicing up my mushrooms. Just some nice thin slices. And I like this to be really mushroomy, so I've got almost 3 cups of these sliced up mushrooms. Now let's get that shallot ready. And if you don't have shallot, just use some onion. It's not going to make a big difference at all. I'll just slice it lengthwise several times. And cut it into pretty fine dice here. And that looks to be fairly close to a ½ cup of diced shallot. Not quite. Let's call it 1/3. Very good. Garlic. Just give it a pop. Very nice. Rosemary I'll leave whole. So now I'm just about ready to go. Now let's season up our cutlets, and that's going to be very simple. Just some salt, nice sprinkling of salt, and black pepper. And we'll flip those over. And more pepper. Now remember about cross-contamination. Don't grab your pepper mill with your chickeny hand. I'll either grab a towel and throw it on there like that, or just wash up before I season the other side. Because nobody wants salmonella. Trust me, I know. And now, let's dredge the chicken. I'm just gonna put that in my flour, pat it down, make sure it's completely covered in that. And I'm gonna push that flour into it just a little bit. Now, I'll leave one of these like this. We'll see how that comes out. And I want that flour to sit on there for a few minutes so it really adheres to the meat. And that should be about enough time for me to set up my pan and get it all heated up. Alright, got a hot pan. Throw in some olive oil, not extra virgin olive oil, regular olive oil. So it can take a little more heat. Alright, my oil's starting to get a little shimmery. I can feel the heat coming off now. I'll throw in a little bit of butter because that helps with browning. Oh, and you can tell that's nice and hot right there, but you don't want that butter to burn, so it's time to get that chicken in there. I'll take it and I'll kind of shake off the excess flour and lay that right in there. There we go. Shake them around just a little bit right in the beginning to make sure there's oil all over underneath. And then I'm going to let them sit still until it's time to flip them. That looks just about right. Flip it. Again, shake it just a little. Just get the oil under there all the way. Then let it sit still. That one needs a little more. And now as those get finished up, I'll just take them out. Set them aside. They're just barely cooked through at this point. If you overcook them, they're going to get real tough, so be a little bit careful. Needs a little more time on that one. And that's the low carb, no flour one, so you can see that's still got a nice crust on it. So the flour is optional. It's going to help thicken the sauce a little in the end, but if you can live with a little thinner sauce, it'll be a little better for you. So I'm now going to drain off most of that oil. Just leave a little bit behind. Keep the pan nice and piping hot, and the mushrooms go right in there. I'm going to hit these with just a very small sprinkling of salt to kind of pull some moisture out quicker. And I don't really need to use very much salt at all because I'm going to use some stock that I'm going to reduce way down, and that should take care of the salt. So I'll just stir those around a little bit, and then just like the chicken, kind of let them sit still and get some nice color on one side. Yeah, that's the kind of color I'm looking for. Now I've got some really nice color on a lot of those mushrooms. So it's time to go in with the shallot, and I'm going to bring the heat down to about medium. And then I like to make a small opening. And I will toss the shallots right in there. I'm going to drizzle a little oil right on top of there. The reason I do it this way is so that the mushrooms don't soak up all that oil before the shallots catch it. That's going to help keep your shallots from burning. Ooh, the smell coming off of there right now. Oh my. So we're just going to cook those shallots for a couple of minutes until they soften up a little bit. Stir them around. And after a couple of minutes there, I'm going to add in just a little pinch of dried oregano, that garlic, and I'll save that rosemary. Stir that together just briefly to get that garlic going. It's real easy to burn the garlic, so just kind of warming that garlic up. Perfect. Now I got 3/4 cup of Marsala. And be careful, that can flame up on you. But that's also kind of desirable, so just watch your eyebrows. And now I'm going to leave this at kind of medium heat, and we're going to cook this all the way down until there's very little left of that Marsala. Now you can see most of that wine is evaporated and reduced down. It's actually getting kind of sticky. And that's good. But before it's completely gone, go ahead and put in a cup of chicken stock. And I'll throw in that little sprig of rosemary, just a little bit. It's strong stuff, and I'm really only going to leave that in there for a little bit, and then I'm going to pluck it right out. Now we'll give that a little taste once that comes up to temp. Very good. And now I'll pull that rosemary. It's just so strong, but I can taste it, and it's real good. Now, get that boiling. Throw in just a few clots of butter. And I'm gonna put the chicken right back in there just to get it nice and warmed up again and nice and saucy. Throw it in, give her a little shake around. Turn that down a little bit and let this all come up to temp. Alright, that chicken is heated up again. And now we're pretty much ready to go here. Just gonna take that out. The sauce is getting nice and thick, you can see. And I'll just throw in a fresh bit of parsley. That looks just great. And another little pat of butter just for the heck of it. And now I'll kill the heat. And this is just about ready to serve. Now let's see how we did. I would normally be serving this with some fettuccine, but I'm kind of living that low-carb life right now. So I've got the unbreaded chicken with the sauce and the mushrooms. Boy, that looks good. Let's give that a try. Oh yeah. The sauce is not complicated. You saw the ingredients that go into there. Very simple. But they work together just perfectly to give it that sweet and savory balance. It's not too sweet and it's not too thick. It's really, really good. And that's why this is such a classic and popular dish. It's on menus all over the place. And you're sure to impress if you make it at home. And you saw how easy it is to do. Well, I really hope you try this, and I know you're going to love it. And if you do, please like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.